This is a message of thanks and gratitude to all you amazing Reluctant Preppers who are making Reluctant Preppers possible by supporting our mission on Patreon. With your help, we're overcoming a 75% drop in YouTube earnings because you're not standing still, but are doing something about it and taking action by going to patreon.com/reluctantpreppers and pledging to keep us on the air. Now our team is 42 patrons strong and growing, and when we reach 100 patrons, we'll start sending out tokens of gratitude as a handwritten note from your host, Dunnigan Kaiser, and an autograph signed on a U.S. Silver Eagle to one of our patrons selected at random each and every month. If you haven't yet taken the step of joining in to support Reluctant Preppers, it's so easy. Just go to patreon.com/reluctantpreppers and pledge any amount you can. You guys are awesome, and we can do this together with your help at patreon.com/reluctantpreppers. Did you know you can buy silver at spot price? Get your 10-ounce bar of silver at spot price today. Go to sdbullion.com/rp. Not only will you be buying silver without any premium, you'll also be supporting the independent media. Reluctant Preppers gets a small commission when you take advantage of this special offer, going to sdbullion.com/rp. That's sdbullion.com/rp.
As a responsible person with growing concerns for your privacy and personal liberty, you want to know where we're headed and what you can do about it. We ask the experts what you need to do to take prudent and responsible action to safeguard your family's wealth and well-being, and what basic first steps will help you to be aware and prepared. ReluctantPreppers.com.
Welcome back, Reluctant Preppers. We're delighted to have a returning guest tonight, Jerry Robinson, founder of FTMDaily.com, which is Follow the Money Daily, is here with us again on Reluctant Preppers. He is an economist. He studies not only the markets, but what people can do about it to reduce risk and prepare for their family's financial abundance. Jerry, thank you once again for joining us here on Reluctant Preppers.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
We've been in a season for some time now of perhaps a long time since it's been such an unprecedented decline in the U.S. dollar. If you could talk to us a bit about what you see as the major driving factors that are causing such a decline in the U.S. dollar, and what you think that indicates and should enlighten people about future direction and risk.
Sure. Well, I think there's been a lot said about the U.S. dollar over the years, and we can go back all the way to the 1970s, and we read books about how the dollar is getting ready to crash. And we, of course, remember that in the late 70s, early 80s, we had a very similar time to which we had back in 2011, which was this rise in the gold and silver price. And so we had that moment back in the 70s and the 80s where inflation was coming problematic right after the Bretton Woods system had broken down in early 1971 or mid 71. And so we kind of have a replay or a redux of this same idea going on just recently. In recent times, we've had fears over the U.S. dollar. And one of the things that we did many years ago was we put together in our book, Bankruptcy of Our Nation, we put together a very important concept of the petrodollar system. It was something that was out there, but it wasn't quite codified. Back in 2006, together with help of some very astute authors, I pieced together the whole thing, and we have it up on our website now, ftmdaily.com/petrodollar. And that really tells the tale of where the U.S. dollar is going. So, of course, you have prognosticators every week who claim that the dollar is going to collapse tomorrow. That's how you get clicks and headlines. But that's not really how the whole currency system works. And those who are, betting the house that the U.S. dollar is going to fall tomorrow, they need to have some financial wisdom in the fact that that's something that we've actually been saying for quite a long time. The dollar is going to crash, but not yet, right? It's going to take time for this whole system to really begin to shift towards a different kind of system. Right now, the U.S. dollar is top dog around the world. The tremendous amount of central banks hold the dollar predominantly. It's their predominant reserve currency. But over time, countries decide that that's not in their best interest. Perhaps it's no longer in their best interest. And the reasons for that are legion. We go back to the 1970s, for example, and we see France and Germany, and not even just European countries, but also some Asian countries who were in the Bretton Woods agreement using that system. And they wanted to redeem their gold. They did not want to be in the system any longer. Why is that? Well, because of all of the spendthrift going on in Washington. We had the Vietnam War, which seemed endless. We were fighting a war on poverty, and new entitlements were put into place in the form of Medicare and Medicaid. And that kind of spending worried foreign governments. And fast forward to today, that really is no different. Today, we have a very similar situation. Let's think about where we are now. In the United States in 2017, we are operating without a budget. We've been operating without a budget in Washington for many, many years. So we have no fiscal discipline. Now we are hearing that President Trump, the Republican president, is working together with top Democratic senators to banish and eliminate the debt ceiling, as if the debt ceiling provides too much accountability to our elected officials in Washington. It's like trying to get rid of speed bumps in a school zone. They make sense. It makes sense to have a cap upon these spendthrift politicians. It makes sense to have a speed bump for them. But they don't want it. And the American people are probably not going to really pay attention to what's happening. They'll probably continue watching their mainstream media. They'll continue consuming whatever they consume at night in the form of TV or radio. And they will not worry too much about the debt ceiling. But that's unfortunate because those overseas who hold a lot of our bonds, they're paying attention to that. So, too, they are also paying attention to the fact that we are getting hammered with natural disasters at an unprecedented rate. Now we're going to have to spend close to $300 billion in federal money, possibly, maybe less in federal. Maybe it'll be a combination of federal and state. But altogether around $300 billion, very likely to take care of the damage from Irma and Hurricane Harvey, two hurricanes that just recently hit. So, and we have more on the way. So I think when you start adding up all of the different things, no debt ceiling anymore, a spendthrift government, we have a Fed that won't raise interest rates because they know that they're going to crumble the economy if they keep raising. We are now in that moment where foreign governments rightly are looking at our U.S. dollar and pulling back a little, looking at our bonds and pulling back a little. And that is evident in the price, the declining price of the U.S. dollar. So the Trump effect has been great for stocks thus far. I mean, it's not as if the Trump effect, by the way, for those who are all on board for Trump, it's not as if Trump invented this rally. I mean, this rally began in 2009, and we called it. It was back in August of 2009 that we called the uptrend in this market after the collapse. And this has been an Obama rally / now Trump rally. So it's been going up for a very, very, very long time. And the stock market continues to go up underneath President Trump. But the dollar in particular is not. The dollar is falling. And one other reason why we should pay close attention to this is the fact that China is seeking to, of course, for a long time, we've been following a story about how China has sought to launch a gold convertible yuan-denominated oil contract. And this, of course, will woo nations who are either A, subject to crippling Western sanctions, and so they want to dodge the dollar, or other countries as well who perhaps want to begin diversifying out of the U.S. dollar, but they may not want to take yuan. Well, this new oil contract that Beijing is preparing will allow these oil exporters to convert their yuan into gold on Asian exchanges. And so it should make the shift a bit easier. And of note, one issue that is a little concerning is the fact that China has been decreasing oil imports from Saudi Arabia after it was reported back in July that they were seeking to woo Saudi Arabia into this yuan-denominated oil contract that's gold-backed. And the Saudis, it's really unclear whether they've accepted it or whether they've not accepted it, but we do know that China has threatened to boost exports from countries that go along with this. So the fact that they're decreasing exports from or imports from Saudi Arabia tells a story that perhaps the Saudis are still on our side, but that could change at any moment. And in fact, we even think about the Saudis now as we record this broadcast on September 11th. And we think about the Saudis and how there's even new information emerging today that they planned a dry run of 9/11 just prior to the events. And so we know that the Saudis have their hands and the fingerprints all over the gun of 9/11, but they're our buddies, and they price their oil in dollars. And so for that reason, to hell with human rights, to hell with democracy, to hell with capitalism, and to hell with all the other righteous philosophies that we espouse, at least when it comes to Saudi Arabia. But the dollar itself is in trouble. It has always been in trouble. It's never changed. It's a fiat currency, and it will go the way of all previous fiat currencies in the past. It will eventually go to its intrinsic value, which Voltaire said is zero.
Before we get further into what people can do to prepare for that kind of eventuality, and I want to circle back on that, could we first pick your brain a little bit on the China topic, because you recently interviewed John Pilger, the author of The Coming War on China, and he posed the question, or you did when speaking with him, is North Korea and our fascination with it and our saber rattling against it just a proxy to test and to restart U.S. empirical interests as an attack on Asia, and China, of course, being the anchor tenant of Asia? What are your takeaways from that very insightful interview with John Pilger?
Well, John Pilger is an amazing journalist, and he has a lot to say, and he's done a lot of documentaries over the years. And one of the things that he's very passionate about is the fact that the U.S. is too militaristic, of course. He makes the point in his documentary, The Coming War on China, fantastic documentary if you can find it online, is the fact that we have the entire South China Sea surrounded by U.S. military bases. If you look at a map of U.S. military bases, you'll suddenly begin to understand why North Korea or Iran or China or Russia, or fill in the blank, any of our enemies, why they might appear the way that they do, a bit retaliatory. And so I think in talking with him, and of course my own insights into the matter, North Korea is sitting atop a tremendous amount of mineral wealth, $1 trillion worth of mineral wealth, at least in the form of lithium and rare earth metals and all kinds of other resources. So again, if North Korea did not have nuclear weapons, then it's hard to imagine that the United States or China, one of the two, would already have their footprint in the country fully. I think it's a bit suspicious and conspiratorial just to simply assume that the North Korean dictator is, simply an extension of the Chinese government. But at the same time, it is understandable that China views that peninsula as part of their own country, and so it's difficult to know. There's views on both sides, but I think the takeaway is that if something occurs with North Korea, and it's not caused or started by the United States in some false flag operation, that it will be the exception, not the rule, in America's warfare history.
If we could now bring the discussion back to the full circle, back to what you were talking about the decline of the U.S. dollar. People on our channel have heard many, yourself and others, guests talk about the eventual extinction of every fiat currency in history, and how ours is long in the tooth. And now it's the first time in history when all countries in the world, all sovereign states, have basically nothing backing their currencies than debt. And so what are some steps you've mentioned in the past a brief overview of, I believe it was 5 stages that people need to consider and in their financial preparedness. If you could walk us through those 5 stages and refer people to where they can find out more details on your site.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. This is a free service we provided for many years, and many people have gone through these 5 levels. We call them the 5 levels of financial freedom. It's our financial philosophy, and it's actually the 5 levels that my wife and I went through as we came to terms with what we were learning. Of course, my background is economics, hers is finance. We both have degrees from the University of Tulsa. And as we came to a full understanding and appreciation of really where we are, we took steps, concrete steps. And I think this is so important because it's so easy for people to listen to discussions and talks and learn about new concepts, but then not to take any action, right? It's like one of those ideas from the Bible, faith without works is dead, so to speak. Many people believe the dollar is going to crash, but they don't have any plan, right? Many people believe that the economy is in trouble, but they're not doing anything about it. And I think this is what the 5 levels of financial freedom really are. It's putting your shoes on and getting your hands dirty and doing the things that you need to do to take care of yourself and your family. There's 5 levels, and you can find them, by the way, at ftmdaily.com/5 levels. And the very first one is simple. It's to build an emergency reserve. So we have a few steps in level 1. The very first step is to create a charitable giving plan. And we actually have a free PDF that you can download. It provokes ideas in your mind of how you can give. And let me tell you why we put giving at the very beginning. I know oftentimes giving money is something that people think, well, I'll do that later whenever I have money. I don't have any money now, so I can't give. And so therefore, I'll just wait until I have money and then I'll give. And one of the things that is important to understand about money is that if you're a Christian or if you're a believer, money is the chief competitor for your heart. It's something that competes with, your allegiance to God. And I think that if we do not put giving first in this environment today that is so capitalistic, that is so greedy, that appeals strictly to our own self-interest, that we may just simply consume all of our income and all of our goods and all of our wealth upon our own lusts, and we won't think about other people. And so instead of, telling my children, hey, how much money do you want to make in your life? I'd rather ask them, how much money do you want to give away in your life? Because if you give away $1 million, you had to make more than that. And so we front load the 5 levels by creating a charitable giving plan. What do you want to do? Why do you want to have money? Why do you want to create more wealth? Why do you want to create more income? So it's a very important question that we front load that prepares people for the 5 steps. We also talk about the importance of creating a go bag, right? I'm sure you've had plenty of shows on that topic. We have a go bag in our trunk of our car. We have a go bag by the front door closet, and we are ready to go. And if you were down in Texas during the recent Hurricane Harvey, or if you were in Florida and Hurricane Irma, and you've listened to this podcast before or others, I sure hope you had that go bag ready and right on your back and out the door. We also talk about the importance of creating 3 months of food and water reserves. This can be difficult in the city, but we provide solutions on our website of how you can actually do that in the city, as well as if you have land like we do. We live in a rural community, and so we have plenty of land to be able to have food and water reserves. In addition, we stress the importance in level 1 of beginning a systematic savings plan and then building up 2 months of savings. And so 2 months of your income that you generate on a monthly basis, you should have 2 months of savings immediately and as quickly as you possibly can. So that's level 1. That's where you begin. And you don't move on to level 2 until you finish level 1. And we've had many people contact us who said, I'm gone through level 1. I did everything. And when you do level 1, when you just do those things, you put the go bag together, you create food, water supply, and reserves, you save up 2 months of your income, you create a charitable giving plan so you know why you're accumulating wealth and accumulating assets, you are 95% ahead of everybody else. I mean, you're ahead of 95% of the people out there, because most people have no clue why they even work the job that they do, and why they have this job that they hate, and why they pay this mortgage that they can't afford, and why they, have these cars that they can't afford. So if you're thinking about these things, you're way ahead of the game. I'll breeze through these next few levels for the sake of time, but you can find them again on our website, ftmdaily.com/5 levels. The second level, once you finish level 1, you move into level 2, and that's all about asset, income, and life protection. So we're talking about going through and looking at your auto insurance, your home insurance. Do you have umbrella insurance? We talk about the importance of disability insurance, health insurance, long-term care insurance. We had a dentist who was in our audience back in 2010, 2011, when we had first started our podcast, and we were stressing the importance of professionals having disability income, because who's going to pay the bills if you don't, if you suddenly can't use your hands, and your hands are what make you money. And sure enough, a dentist had contacted us, and he had a terrible life-threatening disease which had crippled his hands. And he had bought a disability income insurance policy because he had listened to our podcast. And his wife had written a beautiful letter to us just telling us how that was so pivotal. Like, they literally would have went bankrupt without this.
Yeah, life-saving, right. Yeah.
Life-saving. And it's these kinds of things. It's these kinds of things that make the difference. So disability insurance, health insurance, long-term care insurance, life insurance, wills and trusts. The fact of the matter is that if your son or daughter, your small son or daughter knew about life insurance, knew about wills, they would probably tell you to take care of them. But oftentimes there's no one to speak for them. And so if something happens to daddy or mommy, they are often left in a really bad situation. So we need to take responsibility for our own. And that includes by, drawing up a will. You can even do a holographic will if you have to, but you can always do a cheap will if you need to. But I always encourage people to visit with an attorney on things like this. I think it's very important to get wise counsel. There's wisdom in the multitude of counselors. Level 3, then, after we have taken care of our insurance, and Robert Castellone, who was a financial planner and a financial engineer, had basically come up with an idea that this is kind of like the moat around your castle. Insurance is really the moat around the castle. No one would build a castle if they didn't have a moat built first, because the band of marauders would come along and destroy it. So you have to build the moat first. That's your insurance. Make sure everything's properly insured. And then you move into level 3, which is all about building and diversifying your financial reserves. So there you're going to build up 6 months of food and water supply. You're going to build a total of 6 months gross income saved. And then you're going to diversify. This is pretty interesting. You're going to diversify that 6 months of liquid savings. You're not just going to hold it in a savings account. What we do is we take 1/3 of our 6 months of liquid savings at all time. We have 6 months. I tell you, it feels good when you're driving down the road and you get a flat tire and you have 6 months of liquidity right there as a cushion. You're going to be okay. It's very important to have that, that reserve. But what we do with our 6 months is we take it and break it up into thirds. We did a study on this at the university to discover that over a period of 20 years, the gains from this diversification can be immense. What we do is we take 1/3 of our 6 months liquid savings and we keep it in U.S. dollars, money market, cash account, savings account, whatever. The second third is placed into foreign currencies, and we select those foreign currencies on a quarterly basis, and we keep track of them on our website for our members. So right now, for example, we've been in the euro and we've also been in the yuan. These two currencies have, they're both up maybe 10, 15%. They're like stock-like returns this year, whereas the dollar is down, as we mentioned, 7, 8, 9%. So by diversifying into foreign currencies, it helps you protect against that kind of a drag upon your currency. And then in the final third, we put into physical metals. So that's how we diversify our 6 months of liquid savings. After level 3, we move into level 4. And this is where the investing begins. So many people tend to think, well, I need to invest. I'm 18. I need to start investing. No, you don't need to invest. You need to save. Saving and investing are two very different things. whenever I was 21 and I got my first real job, at a corporation, I was told by the 401k meeting that I went to that I needed to stuff my money into the 401k because the company was going to match. And in fact, I was told to stuff as much money as I possibly could into that thing. Well, at 21 years old, I'm young and dumb, and I take my money and I just max out my 401k, right? So I don't have any savings. I think that I'm saving, but I'm actually investing in this 401k. So whenever I go to buy a house, I don't have a down payment. Whenever I want to furnish my home, I have to use credit cards, right? Because I've put the cart before the horse. So if you're 21, you're 18 years old, you need to save some money. You need to have some cash. You've got to have some cash. You've got to begin saving and putting in these good principles. There'll be time for investing. There'll be plenty of time for investing, but you have to build a reserve first. And that's how these 5 levels are built. So level 4 is all about investing broadly across various asset classes. We teach the importance of PACE for inflation protection. PACE is an acronym for precious metals, agriculture, commodities, and energy. We track all of those ETFs on our website, and we give uptrend and downtrend alerts for all of our members. We tell you that it's very important to avoid overweighting in any one area. And we also stress the need to take your cash reserve and, of course, keep 6 months of liquidity at all time. But excess cash that you don't know what to do with, trade it for cash flow when possible. And so we teach the importance of building and creating multiple streams of income. And on our website, we have 22 different income streams that you can create both now and in retirement. It's our income universities for people who are wanting to boost their income. And then finally, level 5. Level 5 is the advanced investing, the speculative investing. This is typically where the 18 or 21-year-old begins, right? He starts here. He assumes that he needs to begin here. But this is not for somebody who doesn't have 6 months of liquid savings. This is not for somebody who has never really invested before. This is not for somebody who doesn't even have a go bag. It has to be put in the proper order. But level 5 is all about opening your own business, investing in real estate, investing in other companies, investing in as a venture capitalist, stock and option trading strategies. And so it's very important that we put the horse before the cart, so to speak. And that's what the 5 levels of financial freedom are all about. So you can find those online at ftmdaily.com/5 levels. But I want to just kind of close that part out by saying that, time is the ultimate commonality. Every single person is given 24 hours in a day. Success is found in how you use that time that you have been given. There's 3 different kinds of people in the world: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who talk about what happened. The big minds talk about ideas, the average minds talk about things, and the small minds talk about other people. So it's important, I think, that it's not just the actions that you take, but it's the mindset that spurs those actions on. So if you're concerned about a dollar crash, if you're concerned about the economy, if you see the writing on the wall, well, the solution isn't to read, a million books or to talk to friends about it all day long. The solution is to take action, and have the right mindset towards it. And then those actions will turn into fruit, for you to enjoy whenever the stuff does hit the fan, unfortunately.
Well, Jerry, I know the time is short tonight with us, and we have to leave it there, but I think you've given us exactly what we asked for, a tour of not only what's going on with the U.S. dollar, what's going on with the Chinese yuan, what's going on with our confrontations with Northern Korea, and what does that mean about the rest of Asia, and then specifically what people can do for 5 levels of preparedness. So I'm encouraging I'm including links in the notes here for everyone can see that there's clickable links in the notes to get to your 5 levels and to your petrodollar report. So Jerry, before we let you go, any last words on how people can find out more of your work?
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I just simply encourage people to go to our website, check out our 5 levels of financial freedom. Check out our free podcast that we have. You find that link right there in the menu on our website, and just check it out. We also have a free 7-day trial. If you want to try all of our services, you can go to our website, sign up for our platinum plan, and we'll give you a free 7-day trial to try it out. So I think, everybody out there, whether you're looking to earn more income or whether you're looking to, learn how to invest if you don't have that education already, you're going to have to get it. And you can read books and books and books and books, but we've put together a lot of great information and provide ongoing education. So for people looking for more income or to learn how to invest or learn how to trade, we're here. We're ready to help. We love to educate.
Jerry, I love your tagline. If you want to find the truth, follow the money. Always appreciate you helping us to look through those lenses to see what's really going on out there so we can be aware and prepared. And thanks always for joining us on Reluctant Preppers.
Thank you. My pleasure.